Do you ever wake up in the morning feeling more tired than when you went to bed? Or have you ever set yourself a goal like losing weight or improving your performance or getting a promotion, and it seems like you're actually getting further away from that goal the more you do? These are things that almost everyone listening will probably recognise. But my guest in the podcast today, very first in the Prymal Podcast, has dedicated his career and his life to helping people like you and I understand our own health. And he teaches us how we can start to take control and make better decisions every day when it comes to what we eat, how we train, how we work, how we live, and generally how we take care of ourselves. Eoin Lacey is an absolute well of knowledge and information, and every time I talk to this guy, I come away having learned more about health in 10 minutes than I even knew existed. In this episode, we chat about nutrition, sleep, general wellness, how to decide what protocol suits you instead of just blindly following like online influencers and broad recommendations. And by the end of this chat, you should have a really good idea of how to go about building your own personal plan for optimizing your life. What a way to kick off the podcast. I had a great time chatting with Eoin, and I really hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the worst self-help podcast in existence. Welcome to our shared journey to try and find the answers to questions about health, wellness, performance, nutrition, life and success, and to craft the most resilient, hardy and happy humans you've ever seen. Welcome to the Prymal Podcast. Okay, so we have Eoin Lacey in the house. Eoin, thank you very much for joining me today in the Prymal Podcast.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
I appreciate you being here, man. One of the first Prymal podcasts, so no pressure, but you have to make me look good.
Okay, hopefully you brought some good jokes for you today.
I hope so. Right, so just before we dive into this and I ask you to give a little introduction for people, I'm going to just give a little bit of context to the conversation we're going to have, because one of the main reasons I asked you to come on, specifically someone like you, one of the main reasons for doing this podcast, this whole series of podcasts, is to try and put some shape on the amount of information that's available for people nowadays on everything from nutrition to strength and conditioning, health and wellness, and to try and help people actually apply this kind of knowledge and information. So I know we had a chat before on a separate little interview, and it was one of the things that really came across and people really gave me good feedback on was you really helped people to put that in context in their own heads, and because there's so many resources, there's loads of podcasts like this, there's loads of YouTube videos, loads of experts online, but it becomes overwhelming for a lot of people. So with that kind of little note in mind, would you mind giving us a bit of background on you and your journey, where you came from, why you got into this kind of stuff, and what exactly it is that you do, just so people get an understanding of who Eoin Lacey is?
Okay, so quick summary, very quick summary. Actually, my son, he's 18, he's trying to get a job now at the moment after his leaving cert. Remember what that was like. So when I initially left school after my leaving cert, I applied for a job in Total Fitness. That was 1996, and then I went off to study fitness and leisure management, thinking that's what to be all and end all. I was lucky enough to work in Total Fitness for a number of years. Then I went on to manage Westwood Club in Clontarf, which was at the time it was the largest club in Europe. We had over 10,500 members, massive club. And the issue that I had being a manager of a big health club is it's all about membership. It's not about health. It's not about well-being. It's about, at the end of the day, how many members we can keep. How can we get them not to come so we can get more members in, so the gym isn't rammed and we have a higher return every month, direct debits. So for me, that was a big issue. And the more and more I seen clients, the more I would do classes, the more I would look after people, the more I realised that everyone's different. And I know that sounds simple, everybody's different, but to be large women after having a baby doing an aerobics class, jumping around, or to be people doing spinning classes 5 days a week, and they looked exactly the same year after year. So the nutrition side of things, the training side of things, it wasn't individualised. So I left, I went back to college to study physical therapy, trying to get a better understanding of anatomy, physiology, some stretching programs, how to build better bodies to train harder, thinking that the better your body works, the harder you can train. The problem is, I know people that train really hard, but we say this all the time in the clinic. If you train 5 days a week, 5 hours a week only represents 2.9% of your week. So I don't care how hard you train 5 days a week, it's not going to undo the other 97% of the week. So realising this and understanding anatomy, physiology and being a physical therapist, I realised that nutrition, I think, was so important, an essential component. So then I went off to study functional medicine, went off to study sports nutrition, nutritional medicine, and I travelled the world. And I was lucky enough to start studying with a guy called Charles Poliquin. who we got on really well. And one of the things he did exceptionally well was present, but his administration, his course content, his notes, his presentation style was poor. So he brought myself and my business partner, John Connor, on as juniors to sort of help him formulate his content. So we presented for over 7 years. I worked for him for 9 years. Over 7 years traveling the world, teaching with him from every corner of the world. I remember the last year I left, I had 150 teaching days with him. That's not travel days. So you can imagine how much I was home, which was a challenge in itself. So from training so many different trainers, nutritionists and therapists, from training thousands of people, realising that it's not just training, it's not just nutrition, it's not just rehabilitation, it's assessing the client, assessing the client's goal, and then putting together a bespoke program for that person. So we know now, like I'm proud enough. Would I say proud enough? I'm happy enough that I'm not on any social media. I have no social media. I have one LinkedIn account for business. That's about it. But I've no Instagram. I've no Facebook. I've nothing like that. And when I stayed away from that because it took my time away. My time was already pretty tight as it was. But when I do get online and see what the young lads in the gym show me these people that have all these followers, that doesn't mean they're experts. That doesn't mean the information they have is any better than anybody else's. The information that you get should be specific to the person you have. So I'm not a fan of giving anyone any recommendation unless I sit down and talk to them.
Yeah.
What's your journey? What have you lived? What's the life you've lived before you came here? Now, one of the analogies we use is like your car, your health car. So when people come to me, they say, oh, my destination is I want to be dropped to 80 kilos and they're currently at 100 kilos. I'm more interested in the journey they've had to get to 100 kilos than I am going to be how to get into 80 kilos. But the problem is, so many people are go ketogenic, go carnivore, go paleo, go vegetarian, and that's going to build it. Hang on a second. That person's car has had a rocky 40 years. That person's engine, that person's tyres, that person's tracking is off. So if you start to put a different diet on them, they may not respond well to them. That person may have had kids, might have had depression, might have sleep apnea, might have blood sugar problems. No. That's not the approach for that person. The correct and professional approach is to assess that person. So recently, I got my wife a new car. Well, car. It's not a new car. And the mechanic came to see the car. And I was expecting, underneath the car, looking at this. No. Laptop out, USB into the dashboard. I was like, what on earth? Just plugs it in and all these diagnoses get done. And he knows how many miles it actually ran and what it needs. Like, what? It's serious. Before you would buy any car, you would do a diagnostic analysis on how well that car is running, what journeys it had, the distance, when it was last maintained, the oil check. But people don't. People ask me all the time, should I eat bread? Should I go paleo? I don't know until I sit down and talk to you. Do you sleep well? What's your blood sugar like? Do you get dizzy when you stand up? Do you go to the bathroom every day? I don't make a joke. It's not funny, but I have so many women that I ask them, do you go to the bathroom? Yes, regularly, every Wednesday. No, going to the bathroom once a week is not good. So there's digestive problems there. There's absorption problems. So I've gone off on a tangent. I apologise.
You've hit every topic I've got to talk about in the next 2 years of podcast in about 5 minutes there.
So the issue is my journey has led me down different roads based on the different people I have.
Okay.
So for example, I look after a lot of guys that have transplants, lung transplants, liver transplants. There's no textbook on training people with liver transplants. There's no textbook on training someone that has a double lung transplant. There's no textbook. I work for the Paralympic Council of Ireland. For years, we sent the guys to the Olympics in 2008. Like, there's no textbook on how to train a cerebral palsy athlete. So a lot of the stuff you're talking to experts in their fields, but it's the person, it's their ability, it's their goal, and it's their current state of health. And then when you can do all those things together, you make huge inroads on people. But general information is for the general population. The general person in Ireland is Homer Simpson. So recommendations for general people is a waste of time.
Yeah. You made a very good point. You've touched on a lot of very good points there, but a couple of things that resonated with me the last time we spoke that I'm going to bring up now is, one, you mentioned to me a specific case about, and you were talking about this generalisation as well, about a client that you had who has a problem with green vegetables.
Yeah.
And she was allergic to green vegetables. It's a big problem for her. But your general dietary advice would be, eat your green vegetables. That'd be generally accepted, but she can't. So there, even if there's only one case like that, it means you can't just take this general advice and apply it to everybody. So I called, there was a phrase we used the last time, was take control of your own health. And I suppose what you help people do is exactly that. What you've just described there is you're helping people, whether they be an elite athlete or a Paralympian or a woman who's just had a baby, whatever it is, you're helping them to apply this knowledge to them, as opposed to saying, here's the information, this is right for everybody, off you go. you obviously the Irish Strength Institute is where you're based now and where you practice. So is it that range of people that you would see? You see everybody from someone who's just starting their fitness journey, who just wants to kind of better themselves or feel a little bit better in the day, to people who are achieving elite goals.
So the Irish Strength Institute, we have a few locations. We've one in the city centre, Artane and Malahide. The ISI generally look after personal training clients. That's generally what the ISI does. And we have a half membership, like a semi-membership in our Artane gym. The clinic I have in Malahide will deal with different people. So the gyms will deal mainly with personal training, and then they do quite a lot of nutrition, but like clients that are looking for fertility enhancement or fertility optimization, as they call it in the States, or Lyme's problems, or allergy issues, or chronic fatigue, or adrenal issues, they come to the clinic. Okay. So the people I see and the people the gym see are a little bit different. What I like to say is the majority of people in the gym will get results. If there's someone that needs a bit more attention, they come and see me, or if they might come and see Robbie or Adam from nutrition, but it's a step above personal training on itself. Okay. So the business is based off personal training, and then the clinic and seeing myself as more a speciality.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, yeah. You brought up a couple of issues there, or topics in terms of nutrition. I know this is an area you're very, very well qualified in. Some of the common things we hear about today, and I'm not going to call them kind of trending topics, but everybody's talking about this stuff nowadays for a few different reasons. I'm sure we'll get into some of those reasons now in a minute as well, but there are things like intermittent fasting, ketogenic diets, low carb diets, veganism, carnivore diets, and there's a lot of, I won't call it propaganda, but a lot of people pushing different agendas from different areas. What can you break down some of those areas for us so we actually have an understanding of what these things mean first? Because I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that, but people are ringing me, the phone is off the hook because they know I work in a functional medicine clinic, or I know people like yourself, or I have a background in, I suppose, physical health, and they're saying, Dan, I'm going vegan, what do you think? And I don't even know where to start with these people, because you need an hour or two to explain what you've just kind of explained there.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
No. So let's first of all let's break. Well, we'll touch upon them all. So let's get straight to the core fundamentals. So all diets are based off 5 main components. We have protein, we have fats, we have carbohydrates, we have vitamins, and we have minerals. The 3 big nutrients are called macronutrients. They're proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. The second 2 are micronutrients, that are vitamins and minerals. Now, if you're going on a vegetarian diet, you're going to go off meat. So you're going to get your protein mainly from plant-based foods. The issue is that we have what's called essential fatty acids that we need to consume. We have essential protein, but we don't necessarily have an essential carbohydrate that we need in our diet. If there was one, it may be fibre. But again, fibre is another area that we could go down, because it can cause a lot of digestive problems for people that don't break it down correctly. But vitamins and minerals are essential that we need across the board. So my straight blanket comment for everybody: anyone can do any form of diet. How long they can do that diet for depends on their health. How long they can do it and get success from it is based off their metabolism, based on their genetics, based off the microbiome. But I would strongly suggest that people get blood work done. And the blood work will identify, I like to think of it as like little engines. If you have smoke coming from an engine, that's not a good sign. You address that. So if you have someone that has a high blood sugar issue, if that person goes on a vegetarian diet and they're going to not be eating meat, and they're going to eat more carbohydrates, that may not be ideal for that person, because you can see that their blood sugar or carbohydrate tolerance may not be ideal to start with. So for me, I think definitely, but the majority of reasons, and I'll ask you this question: why do most people change their diet?
Influence from somebody else, social media or something like that. I think it's very, well, there's something going on. There's something wrong with them.
There you go. Yeah. There's something going wrong. And it's either fat loss, in my opinion, most of the time it's fat loss, or it's low energy. So definitely taking control of your own life and taking control of your energy and your weight by tackling your nutrition is crucial. But following someone else's recommendation is flawed. So my first analogy is, one, I would make sure I get blood tests for people. Then I would make sure that no matter what diet you're eating, and this thing about balance, there's no such thing as balance. I can't say to my wife, I'll sleep with you 6 days a week, and then 7 days a week I'll sleep with another woman. Is that okay? That's not imbalance. It doesn't work like that. I'll have cocaine 2 nights a week, and I want to have cocaine 5. It doesn't work like that. So balance, like when it comes to nutritional balance, there's no such thing. And moderation, there's no such thing. It's the right nutrition for the right person at the right goal with the right metabolism for at the right stage of their life. So the protein consumption for a 4-year-old, actually, here's an interesting one. I was away recently, and this client came to see me. She was a high executive in this country, and I was made to go see her, and she came to see me. She says, my son is hyper. He's a hyper. What can I do? He won't eat any food for me. He has 7 bananas a day. That's all he'll eat for me. And I asked her, well, what weight is your son? My son is 23 kilos. Your son is 23 kilos. If I eat a banana, Dan, that's one piece of fruit for me. I'm 100 kilos, give or take. He's 23 kilos. So and he's having 7 bananas. No, one, it's the fructose. But fruit is natural. Fruit is good for you. Just because something is... cannabis is natural doesn't mean it's necessarily good for you. There's a lot of natural things. Lead is natural. I'm not going to drink a pint of lead, you know. So the certain things. So for that son there, that was way too much fructose. So any diet can be helpful for some people for the short term. But in my opinion, once you're hitting the 5 components of nutrition, you're enhancing health and you're making sure you're maintaining health and well-being and weight management, no problem. I know a lot of people that are very healthy on vegetarian diets. However, some people don't address their essential amino acids, don't address their essential fatty acids and have problems. The same way on a ketogenic diet. The whole idea of a ketogenic diet is that you have around 60 to 70% of your calorie intake from fats, maybe 20 to 15% of protein, and then a very, very, very low carbohydrate intake. And the goal of a ketogenic diet is inside every cell of your body, to make it very simple. Try to think of it as a factory. Inside every cell of your body, you have this factory. And this factory is going to process proteins, fats, and carbohydrates for an end goal of making ATP. ATP is like having euro or money. It's energy in the body. Now, when you eat more of one fuel, that body's going to burn more of that. And it is very efficient. Fat is 9 kilocalories per gram. It needs oxygen in order for it to be burned, and also carnitine and magnesium for it to be burned. But just by eating loads of fat, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be properly metabolizing that fat. And let's say, for example, your factory was, because you've ate carbohydrates for 30 years of your life. You've ate so much carbohydrates. The major fuel your factory was burning was carbohydrates. Now, just for some reason, you've heard online that a ketogenic diet is the style to go. You stop eating carbs and you start throwing in fat. The factory's going to be like, hang on a second, 1 minute we're burning carbs and now we're burning fat. We're not used to this. We need a transition phase. We need more enzymes to break down fats. We need more oxygenation, as in oxygen delivered to the cell, in order for it to burn this. So it's always a transition phase. And there's 2 things, and we'll talk now a little bit about intermittent fasting. So what happens is, if I give you fat and your body is processing fat, technically, if I was to ask you, you're in ketosis, you're burning fat. However, I'm as interested in what you're burning when you're fed as in when you're fasting. So in between meals, or if there's a break between your meals, I want your body efficiently burning fat. And that's when you're in proper ketosis. But for some people, one of the biggest researchers when it comes to ketogenic diets is Dr. Agostino. And he'll talk a lot about, we want people not only burning fat when they're fed, but also in between meals they want to be burning fat. So they're fat adapted. They're burning fat in between the meals. And a lot of people think they're keto adapted and they're not. And they're breaking it every single week, and they're not going to go into proper ketosis. And again, is proper ketosis the be all and end all for everybody? I don't necessarily think so. I think a ketogenic style diet can be very helpful for a lot of people that need it. Actually, the ketogenic diet and Atkins diet in general was developed for people with epilepsy. So I think for mood control, for weight management, it's a good tool, but I think it has to be modified for the person. You need to look at digestive capabilities. One thing in Ireland that I see more and more often now is females getting their gallbladder taken out. So your gallbladder will store bile. Bile is essential for the emulsification of fats. It's very important for the absorption of vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Vitamin D is very low in Ireland. Everybody I test has very low levels of vitamin D. Vitamin A is essential for thyroid function, which sets up your metabolic rate and obviously brain function and so many different cellular responses. So for me, if your gallbladder is taken out, it's very important that you're taking bile support or digestive support if you're going on a ketogenic diet. But nobody says that. If you're going to burn fat as your main fuel source, we need magnesium and we need carnitine to bring it inside the factory. But these people aren't taking carnitine. They're not eating any carnitine as in meat, food sources, so they're even at a bigger disadvantage. Then I checked their hemoglobin. The red blood cells are all low, so they're anemic. So they're not even delivering oxygen to the factory to burn the fuel in the first place. So the problem is, I understand that they're trying their best and they are stepping towards the right direction, but not supported enough.
Yeah.
Not supported enough.
Yeah. You've made some lovely points there, especially there's a couple that really resonate with people I know. And you've mentioned the phrase to me before, if you're not testing, you're guessing.
Yeah.
A lot of people go on the ketogenic diet specifically specifically, they don't go into ketosis. They're eating high levels of fat, but they don't know because they're not testing, am I in ketosis? They haven't done blood work before. They don't know, why am I in ketosis? Are they looking at inflammatory markers? So that's the first problem with that. And something you mentioned there is really interesting, because after the last time we had a conversation, I mentioned this to you off air as well. And I'm not going to embarrass these people by saying who they are, but a couple of people said to me they'd be very intimidated to talk to, not you personally, but because they don't know you, but people like you, because you have a lot of information and you deliver it very well. And for me, a fact is a fact. But people who have an issue, they're being challenged on something. So if someone has a weight loss or a weight problem and they want to lose weight, they know that they've gotten themselves to a position where they're carrying too much weight. And to address that is to challenge something about themselves. And I know a lot of people don't like that. And they've said it to me. This is not me making assumptions. They've said, I don't want to go see someone like Eoin Lacey because that is intimidating. Like, that would challenge me to go and see him. But unless you take that first step, I think anyway, you don't know what it is. There's no point looking at keto or vegan or anything really, because you don't know where your start point is. You don't know what you want to lose weight, obviously, but how are you getting there? Is this the right diet for you? Are you making yourself worse? And that's one thing people really need to be aware of. You can actually make yourself, I won't use dangerous, but it can compromise your health if you go on any of these kind of diet journeys and you don't know what you're doing.
100%. And one of the things I'd like to say, I train a mixture of different people. I see a mixture of different people, from high-level Olympic athletes to football players to MMA people to just normal Joe Soaps. And I remember recently I was training this guy, and I came down the stairs and my client goes, Janie Mac, what was going on upstairs? Who was that shouting at him? I went, I don't know who it was. It was me. Like, I trained this guy for years, but because I was giving this guy an awful hard time, so you have to be adaptable to the people you have. So here's one for you, really quick. Let's do this, me and you.
Yeah.
So if I ask you to scale your health out of 1 to 5, 5 being like 100%, you are Superman. You're doing everything you possibly could be to be a healthy shower. What number would you give yourself?
4.
4, okay. Yeah. Now, what did you think of there? All you do right, or the few things you do wrong? Be honest.
The few things I do wrong.
Yeah, everybody does. So if you're at home now and you're listening to this, you scale yourself out of 1 to 5. In my opinion, most people give themselves a 3.
Okay.
Only fools give themselves a 5. They wouldn't be talking. So everyone's going to be around the 3 or 4. And the question is, you thought about what you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. Yeah. It could be sleep. It could be drinking too much. It could be staying up late at night. It could be not training enough. A multitude of things. So what I would do there is I would ask you what that one is and how I could help you support that one to make it a 5. So I say to people all the time, if you get up in the morning, and we can talk, this is, for me, the crucial part of it. When you get up in the morning, you take your mobile phone, you go to work. Your mobile phone should be at 100%. Hopefully you've charged it at night time. But people are getting up and going to work. You said you're at 4, so that's 80%. So you're going around at 80%. What if I could get you to 100%? How much better, productive, happier and healthier would you be at 100%? We all wear different hats. So I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a husband, I'm a lover.
It's a song, is
it? Yeah. Actually, that was a good song. Not as much as I like to be with a lover, but I'm an employer, an employee, all this sort of stuff. So we all wear different hats. But everything is better when you're at a higher percentage. So you're a better friend, you're a better husband, you're a better brother, you're a better son, whatever it is. But a lot of people are going around at 60%. I asked them, like, what are you out of 10? I'm sorry, what are you out of 5? I'm a 3 out of 5. Every morning I'm like that. But I still don't go to work going, yes, Irish people, and I know this is going to other people outside Ireland, but Irish people will get up at -4 and still go to work. Just because you got out of bed and you went to work doesn't mean you're looking after yourself. And the issue is, we've all been hungover. Robbie hasn't been hungover, he doesn't drink, but most of people have been hungover. What's hard when you're hungover? Everything. Breathing is hard. Thinking about breathing, thinking about brushing your teeth, putting your sock, everything is hard. We all know what it's like to be hungover. And I'm not saying people are waking up hungover every morning, but they're definitely waking up and not a high percentage.
Yeah.
And everything they do, every business meeting they go to, every bit of traffic they hit, getting dressed, their irritability, their answer to emails, their focus, their cognition, their appliance with their food, their meditation, all goes out the window. So the higher we can get people first thing in the morning, the more we can recharge people, the better they perform. Whether that's performance in a cage, on a football pitch, on a basketball court, in a boardroom, if it's just being a better mammy. We all know that when we're in bad form and we're tired, everything's more difficult. So for me, people actually realise more about their own health than they're aware of it. So if someone's thinking of coming to see someone like me or anybody, bite the bullet. Say, look, these are where I feel I'm falling down. It may be this or it may be something else, but do it now. Don't wait. And I see this, and I have so many executive clients. For God's sake, don't wait till you're 4 or 5 stone overweight before you do something. Don't wait till you get a stroke. Don't wait till you've had 4 or 5 miscarriages. Don't wait till your skin is breaking out and you're putting cream on it every day for the last 10 years and you still got bad psoriasis or eczema. Do something now. If your libido is in the toilet, and this is the problem, most men's libido are so low, but their testosterone is so low, they don't even care that their libido is low. Yeah. Women, from an energy point of view, like I talked to so many women. I had a woman in recently and her hemoglobin was 6. Like 6? How are you even functioning? She had to get a blood transfusion. She was so low. But she's been so used to running on fumes for so long. That's the norm. Being low on energy, being low focus and creativity and not being happy, that's normal. But it's not healthy. You know?
Yeah, definitely. One of the most common things you hear, and it's a bit of a curveball, but I'm gonna answer it with a bit of personal twist on this as well, because a lot of people say, "Oh, that's great. Brilliant. You've a background and all of this kind of stuff. You have all the information. You have all the knowledge. You have a nice team around you. It's easy for you. It's easy for you." And you hear that a lot. Yeah, but it's easy for you. I've got a full-time job. I have 10 kids. I've been sick all my life. I have no support from my family. I have no money. And that's what most people say. And I suppose they're all, if you want to call it, valid. Over the I gave you the answer before. You asked me that question a year and a half ago, say 18 months ago. I probably would have said 2.5, 3.
I was surprised you said 4, actually. I was happy. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but for the last 10 years, I've had a lot of this information because I've been surrounded by it, because I work with a doctor who works in functional medicine. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I talk to a lot of people like you. I have a lot of friends in the strength and conditioning and nutrition field. So I had all this information. I never applied it. And every evening I get home, I'll do it tomorrow. And I was one of those people, if someone said to me, "Why don't you just do this, Dan?" I'd be like, "Look, it's easy for you, man. I have to go and do this and I have to go and do all that kind of stuff." But what changed for me about a year and a half ago wasn't a big event. For some reason, I don't know what it was, I don't have the answer, I made a decision to do something small. A small change in my diet. And that helped my sleep. And then I had 2 things fixed out of 1. Yeah. And then I felt better. And when I felt that little bit better, I was addicted to it then. Then I realised, hold on, I didn't even know. I thought I was doing okay. I thought everyone was around the same level as I am. And then I had made this tiny change, and I felt way better. Yeah. And I noticed everything started to improve. My recovery, my sleep, my mood, everything. So I made another little change. And now I had the benefit of being able to access people like yourself and Dr. Sam and all that. But it was that little step that kind of created the momentum for me. So whenever anyone says that to me, I can come across real preachy sometimes when people ask me, like, "Look, I've all this information. Did you listen to that with Eoin Lacey or with Robbie or did you listen to the latest guy on Ben Greenfield or whatever it was?" And they're kind of looking at me and they roll their eyes. But I can see the same thing I saw myself back then. All they need is that little bit of help to take that first little step. And from what I've seen, it's not blowing smoke or anything like that. That's what you help people do, is to take that first step and create the momentum.
Well, you say that, but the first step was coming into the first time. Yeah. So it's not I enhance or facilitate them when they get there. But a lot of time the driving force isn't me. The driving force was a referral from someone else, or someone else in the office looking good or feeling good, or someone's performing well on the pitch, or they've got a new contract, or they extended their career by a few years. But what I would say, that's a crucial point. So we call it the red flag. And the red flag, or some people call it the lowest hanging fruit. So for, let's say, for example, I had a female come to see me recently, and I knew a lot of Irish people don't do well on gluten. And I know that a lot of people out there, I'm going to talk about non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and I'm not celiac, but I have a problem with it. Every human, let me say this very clear, every human in the world has a problem with gluten. How big the problem is very different. So there's a leading researcher, Dr. Fasano, and he has a great presentation on YouTube saying what happens in the gut doesn't stay in the gut. It's not like Vegas. So every human being, when they eat gluten, their tight junction, their gut open. And a protein called zonulin does that. So every time you eat gluten, you either open a window, a door, or a garage door. And that causes gut permeability. Now that gut permeability for some people like you and me, Dan, may not cause an issue. For someone else it could cause a menstrual problem. For someone else it could cause water retention or fluid retention or constipation or diarrhea or mood swings. A lot of people think that gluten affects the gut only. The tight junction of the gut are the same architecture as the blood-brain barrier. So 80% of gut issues from gluten affect the blood-brain barrier, not just the gut. So when someone comes to me and I see something like gluten, if I say, okay, let's reduce the gluten, all of a sudden brain fog goes, mood increases, then they're more compliant. So for you, it might be the smallest few things that you change, but it had a snowball effect on other aspects of your life, and then you got the ball rolling. But it took a change. It took some sort of change. It took some sort of daily habit that started the ball of enhancing your health.
And let me be very clear about that as well. I'm still struggling. And this is a really important thing for people to understand. Like, and I won't speak for you, but for me anyway, I'm doing this podcast fine. I'm not an expert in any area. I haven't completed the journey. There is no completing the journey. Every day I struggle with this. Every evening there's still things I go, I know I should be doing X, but I didn't do it today. Right, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, whatever. That happens every day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same for everybody, but I don't think there's ever a point you get to where you go, right, I have it fixed, health 100%, here we go, bang, we're done. I think it constantly changes and adapts, and every day you struggle with it. Like, it is a struggle.
Yeah, well, you know what? I have a friend of mine. He's a psychologist, and what he'd say is, "There's no struggle zone. There are only challenges."
Okay, well, I like that.
I love that. So here's the thing: there's a system called the if-then method.
Okay.
So if you don't have breakfast, then you intermittent fast. If you do have breakfast, then you don't have dinner. If you didn't train, well, then you don't have carbs. So there's all these simple things. Like, we all know, and I ask people all the time, imagine you're on your journey from A to B. And in order to go on any journey whatsoever, you need two things. One, your current location, and two, the destination. That's key. And we know it's not all a straight line. The problem is, if you know that what your derailers are, what caused you to go off the track, is it traffic? Is it you haven't got shopping in? Is it you get home, you're so sure you can't eat something, you end up going on to just eat? Or you've gone from meeting to meeting and you haven't prepared yourself for that day? Well, then identify those things and enhance it. So I took a guy on recently, and he said, "Owen, I want you to be my CEO of health." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I want you to look after everything." I said, "Are you sure?" He says, "Yes." I said, "Okay, no problem." So I got onto his PA, and I found out every airline he flies with, because he flies every single week all over the world. I found out every hotel he stays in. I found out his top 3 restaurants in every country that he goes to. I got their menus, and I've highlighted what he can and can't eat in every restaurant. So he has a no-brainer now. He knows what classes he can do in the gym he goes to, what program he has to do because how well equipped the gym is. His supplements are in his house over in the States and in Ireland. So there's a no-brainer. So once you identify where someone's derailers are, equip them. But the problem that you're having, I don't know what they are, but maybe you skipped food or you didn't get a training session in. You know why that happened.
Obvious.
Yeah. But then if you know what it is, well, then we can do something else about it. Or maybe you didn't get your session in that morning, that you have to get up a bit earlier the next morning to do it. But the whole point is to build a program for success. And the problem is, in order to get healthy, in order to be successful, in my opinion, is that you have to plan for it. Drifting doesn't work for anybody. I hear these things all the time where people just got lucky. Yeah, that's not what happens. You know, I actually have this diary here in front of me now. I'll show you. It's called the Full Focus Planner. And what it does is you set out every single day your 3 major things you have to do that day, and then your goals, and then you review every single week. But one of the things it said to me is write down your goals you get 4 a year. And what you do is you list down your goals and you break down why. So I'm getting an extension on my house. I say that now, my friends will probably laugh. I'm getting this extension 5 years. But we're getting an extension on my house. And the reason why we're getting it is my wife wants it, right? We want more room in the house. It's a small bungalow that we live in, but I need more room. So when we come home, the sitting room and kitchen is in the one area. So my driving force to get that extension is for my family. That's my why. If you want to enhance your health, well, why? Is it for fertility? I've never seen someone so motivated than a woman getting ready for a wedding. Now, I'm not being sexist. I apologise if that's sexist. But when women come say, I want to get in shape for a wedding, they will do whatever you say. Like, literally whatever you say. Or if they're trying to get healthy for a pregnancy, they'll do whatever you say. They're super motivated. It's just they'll do anything. The problem is that they've got a good, strong why. Simon Sinek, they're a good, strong why. So if a man comes to you and he's like, I just want to lose a bit of weight so I can swing a golf club, that's not enough big enough why for me. That's not something that I'm gonna be able to help you with, because you're not driven, you're not motivated the same way. If you want to be a better you, come on, let's do this. Yeah. But every day, get busy getting better. Yeah. So every day you could eat better. Every day you could sleep better. Every day you could do something so you're either taking a step closer to your goal or further away. And I know that might sound a little bit corny, but the fact is, so many people every day are making poor decisions. Food that you eat, like, I asked you a question, when's the last time you ate something by accident?
By accident?
Yeah.
Does that happen? Do you fall on something?
No, yeah. Do you put the fork in your mouth by accident? No, I'm not saying that people, I'm not a bit corny, but the fact is, we don't make decisions. Sometimes when we eat food, we've all been there. I've been there many times, where you're sitting down watching television and you have a biscuit. You go, oh, that's a nice biscuit, or whatever it is, chocolate hobnob, Peter K, chocolate hobnob. You have that chocolate hobnob, and then the next thought is, oh shit, they're all gone. You've just consumed them. The same way you go to the cinema, you have a bite of Ben and Jerry's, and then it's all gone. So people are doing mindless eating. And that's one thing that's big in Ireland. I assess people's diets for years. Breakfast, boom, is good. Well, sometimes it's cereal, but breakfast is good. Lunch is okay. Dinner is okay. And then, oh, I like something sweet.
Yeah.
And then they undo the whole day by eating food at night time. That's why intermittent fasting, when you do an intermittent fasting, one of the key things, and this is not something that I'm a huge fan of, but it does work for a lot of people, is calorie reduction. So when you close the window down of eating, you minimize people's decision making. So if you're always known to make poor decisions, if I ask you to stop eating at 6 o'clock or stop eating at 4 o'clock, the decision not eating after that is gone. You've no decision. You just can't eat. So that really reduces people's calories and makes them have better food choices in the window that they can eat. Now, there's a lot of things that happens. Remember I talked about that cell, the factory inside your cell. When you fast, you prolong that factory's ability to clean itself out. So think of it as a factory burning fuel. And if it's working from morning to night time, it only cleans itself at night. So when you go to bed at night time, your body's asleep, it starts to clean itself out. However, a lot of people have disrupted sleep, so they don't get that factory cleaning. Also, the brain cleans itself out. There's two processes in the body called the lymphatic system, which is the sanitation system of the body, but you also have a system in your brain called the glymphatic system, and it's sort of, if you want to call it shampoos your brain at night time. It cleans out all the neurons and re-establish neural drive and brain drive, neurotrophic factor. It gets your brain fertilized at night time. But if you have a fasting window and a fed window, in that fasting window, the factory cleans itself out, your cells renew themselves, and the next day, whatever fuel you throw at them, they can process it better. So intermittent fasting, this is the thing, every human in the world has been doing intermittent fasting for their whole life because they're not eating when they're asleep. But if you narrow it down during the daytime, people that have in the past made poor decisions have a less of a window to make poor decisions and less food related decisions, so they tend to lose a bit of weight. The problem that I have with intermittent fasting, if I was to say to you now all the questions you had from your friends and clients and so on, what meal did they skip in intermittent fasting?
It's always breakfast.
It is always
the
breakfast. It's the easy one. Yeah. And the problem with skipping breakfast is huge fold. So let's say, for example, I was traveling last week. I came back through Istanbul. And when I landed in Istanbul and turned my phone on, straight away my phone turned on to Istanbul time. And why it turned on to Istanbul time is connected to the network, it knew what time it was and switched it on. In our life, we have what's called Zeitgebers. Zeitgebers are environmental influences on our time, our clocks and our time. So think of that factory. Think about start time and end time, AM and PM, and what time that factory has to work. In the morning, our body is more in tune to digest food than in darkness. So when you get up in the morning, if you don't eat, your body says, well, hang on a second, this fella isn't eating any food. How will I bring his blood sugar up? And we have a few mechanisms for bringing blood sugar up. One is cortisol. Two is glucagon. Then we have epinephrine, norepinephrine, or adrenaline, noradrenaline, whatever part of the world you're in. And then we have human growth hormone that bring it up. Cortisol is a catabolic hormone. It can break people down, and a lot of people have cortisol issues. So by not eating, you're actually causing a bit more stress to these people. Now, don't get me wrong. For someone that's fit and healthy and 4 out of 5, no problem. But these people aren't 4 out of 5. They're probably a 2 out of 5. So they're employing a dietary strategy, and they're not healthy enough to do it. And then what happens at lunchtime, they might eat something small, and dinner they go, hey, you guys, and they have a massive big dinner. Now, will it help them? Yes, it will probably lose a little bit of weight, but it's not necessarily healthy. And what it'll do is dropping weight, just because you're losing weight doesn't mean you're improving health. A lot of times it is correlated to health, particularly visceral adipose tissue or belly fat. When that goes down, it's been shown to be very effective. But you could be losing muscle mass. Cortisol is very catabolic to muscle mass. It breaks muscle mass down for amino acids to bring up your blood sugar. It's called gluconeogenesis, the formation of glucose from non-glucose source. So high levels of cortisol in the morning, for someone that it's already cortisol has an issue with it, by doing intermittent fasting is not helpful.
Okay.
So in my opinion, particularly knowing, and so many executives and so many athletes, taking dinner away is the best thing. And people say to me, oh, I'm not hungry in the morning. I challenge everybody here. You stop eating dinner for 5 nights, you will wake up hungry as hell in the morning, and then your whole metabolism will get going, and that allows you then to have deeper sleep, more restorative sleep. So in my opinion, people should be having, well, Again, it depends on the person, but breakfast, lunch, and a smaller dinner is much better. And having a window of maybe stopping your dinner around 7 or 8 p.m. allows you to get more rest and deep sleep.
Yeah. I suppose one of the, just to bring up a question that you probably get commonly there, and I get a lot, is if you're training or you're an athlete and you're training at 7 or 8 in the evening, people think have to get a big meal in after the training. Is that correct or is it not correct? Or are we still applying the rule you've just mentioned that if you have a different requirement, like an athlete is not the same as a woman preparing for pregnancy, for example? Do you apply it to different people differently?
Yeah, it will be different. To be honest with you, training at night time is a big influencer of cortisol and can actually interfere with sleep. So training at night time, yes, I would suggest having something small to eat after a training session. The more interval based, let's say it was a 5-a-side or it was a gym session, they can have a little bit of carbohydrates. And carbohydrates have all the macronutrients that are the easiest to digest. Protein and fats are much harder. So having 2 spuds or a small bit of a sweet potato or some rice, no problem. But not chocolate and Lucozade and all other sorts of stuff. Okay. And to be honest with you, if you actually did the meta-analysis on, or the METs of the activity they didn't burn that much glycogen.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, if they're going to have carbs the next day, they're going to refill it anyway. Now, if it's an elite level athlete and it's a rugby player, yes, I'll be giving them carbs at night time. But if it's just someone looking to lose weight and improve performance and maybe play football in 2 days' time, they're going to replenish the carbohydrates the next day anyway. So I wouldn't be too stressed about that at all. Yeah.
Hi guys, just a little break from the show for a few seconds to remind you that today's guest is Eoin Lacey from the Irish Strength Institute. And he's with me today to chat about the many ways that you can take control and optimise your health. If you'd like to learn more about anything we cover in this episode, you can get in touch with the team at podcast@prymal.ie. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at PrymalPro, PRYMALPRO. And everything we mention will be available in the show notes over at www.prymal.ie/Eoin Lacey. That's actually, and it'll lead into the next point as well. People are doing intermittent fasting. You mentioned there that it's a handy way of doing calorie restriction. But an intermittent fast doesn't necessarily have to be a calorie restriction. No. So if you are an athlete, and I'm kind of speaking now from experience with a lot of younger guys who are playing rugby or Gaelic football or whatever, if you're an athlete, you have a certain requirement of energy expenditure. Food is fuel.
Yeah.
So if you're cutting your calories, you're also cutting your nutrients. You're cutting your energy input, I suppose. And if you're expending 2,500 calories a day, and all of a sudden you're only taking in 1,500, you're in a deficit there, which is important to understand if you're an athlete and you're not looking to lose weight.
This is the thing. Just because you're doing intermittent fasting, a lot of times it's calorie restriction, but you can still get a lot of calories in the window.
Get 5,000 calories in a single sitting.
Yeah, you can, for sure you can. But the process, one of the issues that I have, and this has been done on tons of research, anytime you go on a calorie deficit diet, you're on a vitamin and mineral deficient diet. And that's crucial for a lot of people. Your hormones, your enzymes, your cofactors in your body are all vitamin and mineral based. So when you start cutting your calories, if you don't address deficiencies in vitamins and minerals, you're going to cause issues later down the line. Whether it be hormonal issues, whether it be blood sugar management issues, whether it be brain, whether it be hormone, it could be a multitude of reasons. But if you are going on a calorie restricted diet, you need to address the vitamin and minerals that you're going to be missing out. And athletes, in my opinion, well, and unfortunately, I've learned this the hard way. If you change anyone's macronutrients or you change anyone's eating windows, there is definitely going to be a minimum of 4 up to 14 days of a performance impact. So let's say, for example, I have any player and I change their style of eating or I change their macronutrients, there's going to be a metabolic transition which can alter fitness, which can alter performance, which can alter reaction time, decision making. And that's not something I want with a Premiership soccer player or someone playing for rugby for Ireland. I don't want that. So you do it away from competition. So if any athlete out there, if you're going to embark on a new nutritional regime or new strategy or eating window, please do it off season. Please do it in conjunction with your sports doctor or your nutritionist. Don't just do it yourself, because the chances are, and this is key, we have a lot of fluid balance in our body. You have certain areas in your body, particularly cartilage. Cartilage is an avascular tissue. It doesn't have a direct blood supply. So when you get a dehydration in cartilage, you're more prone to tearing that cartilage. If you have got a sodium-potassium imbalance caused by intermittent fasting or not being hydrated, you're more prone to ACL tears, LCL tears. We were just chatting recently about an athlete who damages LCL. And a lot of times when women are you actually have estrogen receptors in your ACL. So more women are more prone to possibly damaging their ACL during their menstrual cycle, which I found really interesting. And I got that from Aina Falvey up in the Sports Medicine Surgery Clinic. So this is the thing, sports people, if they're going to change something like that, it's away from competition. It's off season and it's in conjunction with their physician or the nutritionist. If this is just an average guy playing football 5-a-side a weekend or Gaelic and not very high level, wean yourself into it. Assess how you're feeling, and it doesn't have to be 7 days a week. If you're going to intermittent fasting, maybe do it on days you're not training. On days you are training, you eat normally, and the body always likes a bit of a curveball, not doing the same thing every single day. So maybe for some of my clients, we call them AFDs, alcohol-free days. So I ask my clients, how many days are you not going to drink? And they're like, 2. I said, that's not good enough. I want 5 alcohol-free days this week. You can have alcohol on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, no problem. So when they're eating during the week, I say, okay, Monday to Thursday, they're intermittent fasting, they don't have dinner. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they can have dinner. So they're balancing their calorie intake and they're having a bit of a metabolic shift during the week. But it's not always the same all the time.
Okay. You've talked a bit there about a ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting. I have a little grenade here. I'm going to pull the pin and just drop it in the middle of the room. And that grenade is veganism and the Game Changers documentary and all this kind of modern stuff that has come out. I don't want to get too deep into the politics of it, but maybe you can give us a bit of insight into this, because this is one of the big issues I suppose I had. I have no problem with people, and what we're trying to encourage people here to do is pick a diet that suits you, whatever diet that is. If it's eating cheese only or whatever, if it works for you, it works for you, and that includes veganism and carnivore. But something like the Game Changers and this whole debate it sparked, it has an awful smell of an agenda behind it, and a lot of people in my circle, they went vegan after seeing this documentary. They didn't have blood tests, they didn't have a goal or anything like that. They recognised some red flags waved by this particular movie, and they got a little bit of a fright, and they said, right, animal products gone, kicked out the door, now I'm vegan. And I have a bit of experience with people coming into the clinic that I'm involved with as well, who made a similar decision based on this particular movie. And that we did our bloods, and it's scary. And these guys are telling us stories about all of a sudden everything has changed, and not in a positive way. Energy through the floor. We've depression, anxiety. We've weight issues going the opposite way they thought they were going. They're getting heavier, not losing weight. We've all sorts of stuff going on. Now, I just want to clarify a point before everybody loses their mind here. Plant-based and vegan is different for me. I think vegetables are great for people who can tolerate vegetables. I've no problem with people being vegan. There's lots of obviously political and ethical reasons for going vegan as well. But a documentary like that, or a movie like that, I suppose is better to call it, that creates a social kind of stir, and it gets a lot of people following trends and things like that. And I think it's irresponsible to do it in the first place. But for the average person who's sitting there and watches something like that, and they get a fright, and they hear about how meat is going to kill you or animal products are going to kill you, how do you manage that? How do you talk to somebody like that and explain? I know we've gone through your testing and stuff like that, but how do you kind of reduce that kind of fear without diving too much into the evidence and kind of debunk? There's loads of debunking done of this. We're not trying to do that, but what message would you give to people like that?
Well, what I would say is any sort of awakeness to your diet and awareness of what you're putting in your body, I think is positive in any way, shape or form. So one of the things I see a lot is when people are eating animal-based foods, they're not making good decisions. Let's be honest. So I see people eating shitty quality meats, and you can't compare shitty quality meats with quality meat. So when it comes to that situation, it's not apples with apples. Yeah. What I would say is there is a benefit to both. I definitely think that some people can manage and get a lot of nutrients from plants very easily, but some people can't. And we all know, we've heard about the B12 not being readily absorbed from plants. We know that you need to have a combination of beans and rice to get the essential amino acids, and that's fine. And I think people can. I think that a lot of people can live a very healthy lifestyle on a pure plant-based diet, but it needs more attention. It needs more attention. So we have like a slogan: if it ran around the field, if it swam, flew or grew, you can eat it. So if things grow, like real things, you can get by on eating plant-based foods, but you need to address the essential fatty acids, you need to address the proteins. Now, the higher quality foods always win down. So any processed food, any food that's processed in any way, shape or form, it denatures the nutrient content in it. And that goes for any food, whether it be a fat, a protein or a plant, in any way, shape or form. But I do think people the scare tactic a little bit. I don't think the documentary was done particularly very well. It was more dramatised, and a lot of people positioned in it for the popularity, not necessarily that they're academic prowess, let's just say, you know. So people that have like, there was a bodybuilder in it from, I think, Iran or Irania, there was Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. These guys definitely have reached pinnacles in their careers, but they're not people I would go to for medical advice. So yes, I think we should be more aware of the quality of the animal meats that we eat. Showing me a vial of cloudy blood, oh my God, that like, you can't take someone's blood and say, oh, look how cloudy it is in comparison to where it was the other day. No, that's not a scientific, you know, placebo combined, you know, study. It's not good enough to be taking evidence from it. And we have this thing in research called N=1. Like, just because one person said it, it's not going to be across the board. You know, you have ethnic background, you have age and metabolism and sports and so on. But I do think people should be more aware of the animal meats that they consume. I do think there's a lot of quality benefits from plant-based foods that people should consume more of if you can metabolize it. But if you are going to go down a journey of going more plant-based and completely eliminating protein, please just assess where you are. Because the problem is, I see people's skin, hair, nails, mood, libido go down. And they say, oh, and initially they feel good. On any diet, you initially have a transition phase. But it's the long term, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, then let me see where things are going. So I think education, a little bit of information sometimes, it just stores the pot. So be more aware of what you consume. If you are going to be down that line, make sure that you're addressing the deficiencies that are causing the diet. But I think having a more focus on your diet and more focus on what you put inside your body. And what I try to get across to people, food is fuel, but it's information to the cells. So it's information to your body. So every time you eat food, you're giving information to your body. And let's just hope that that information is going to be positive for your genetic background, for your metabolism, and for your current state of health, so you absorb it correctly. Like, plants are very resistant. I remember listening to a guy, his name eludes me now, he popularizes the carnivore diet. But animals have teeth, so they defend themselves from being killed with their teeth. Plants don't have teeth. Well, there's one or two fly catching things.
Fly trap,
yeah. But plants are resistant to being broken down. So a lot of these people aren't even cooking the foods correctly to be able to absorb the food that they're consuming. Like, quinoa goes in, nearly comes out the same way it goes in, unless you cook it the right way. Nuts are very hard for digestion. So the thing about it is, if you are going to go down that road, make sure you have the digestive capabilities, that you have a good health in order to absorb the nutrients that you consume. And it's not the food that we eat that we absorb, it's what we assimilate and get into our cells. So a lot of people are missing that link. Now, sometimes when people transition to a plant-based diet like that, they're already not digestively sound, so it's even more of a struggle for them. So just do it in conjunction with your physician. Do it in conjunction with someone that can wean you into it slowly and monitor your progress and your body composition and your mood and your sleep and so on. But I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. It highlights an area that needs attention, but it's not a medically sound. Like, the research that was portrayed in that documentary would get into no research paper in any planet in the world.
Yeah, well, I call it a movie, even not a documentary. Yeah,
Mm.
and I suppose a good point as well, because a lot of people feel pretty good when they start diets like this. But if you're starting a new diet where you're kind of getting rid of a lot of your usual food and you're an average eater anyway, it's an elimination diet anyway. You're getting rid of a lot of the processed food, so you're going to feel better for a while. But I think what you're explaining there is, in the long term, unless you really know what you're doing, you're not really going to be providing your body with you might have been getting some of it before because you had a relatively, I'm going to use the word you don't like, balanced diet, but you were eating a lot of stuff and you were getting a little bit of everything. But if you go purely carnivore or purely plant-based, for a while, you'll feel good because you're not eating so much of the processed sugars and stuff like that anymore. But eventually, you're going to run out of the stuff that you actually need unless you're finding it somewhere else. Yeah,
and we have this principle that we follow in the clinic called the MD principle. What's maintainable and what's doable. So yes, it's doable to go off meat for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, but are you going to do it long term? And then are you going to rebound? What's going to happen then? So, like, again, any diet will have a benefit for a short period of time. Depends on the person, but I definitely think it's something that people can maybe employ in their diet, but just take a step back a little bit and plan it out beforehand.
Okay, yeah. On the topic of being influenced by something like a movie like this and kind of external sources and not necessarily testing yourself, I suppose where most people get this information nowadays is from YouTube and Instagram and places like that, and they're looking at people who are, and I'm quote unquote here, experts in their field. They look great, they have very successful careers, and they're basically saying, do this and you will be this. But again, that kind of goes totally against what you've been saying from the start here, and that how do they know who I am? How are they telling me I'm going to have a six-pack, or I'm going to be able to run 100 metres in whatever, or because they don't even know me, like,
Yeah.
but they look great. They have a great personality. They have a big following. That must be the right thing to do. That's a trap that a lot of even like people. I'm 30 years of age, and there's people my age who fall down that trap.
Yeah.
There's people older that fall down that trap because it's an easy one, because it's in your face all the time. It's everywhere. A lot of people would struggle initially to come and see an expert or pay money to sit down and have a consultation because it's on my phone. Like, sure, I looked that up the other day on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that a common problem? Do you get a lot of people come into you who have gotten advice and go, yeah, Owen, I'm doing pretty good. Like, I follow your man and I've been doing the XYZ diet for a while and it's not really working though. I don't know why.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues that we have, and we touched upon this earlier on, like experts, so-called experts out there saying follow this diet. I'm not saying that everyone's on steroids. I'm not saying that at all. But a lot of people in today's society are taking steroids, whether it be growth hormone or testosterone, to get in shape, and then they're giving recommendations to other people. Like, they don't know the struggles or the challenges, as we said earlier on. Like, and this big thing about just cut calories. Just cutting calories works for a lot of people, but not for everybody. As I said, if your car is well MOT'd and well NCT'd and the metabolism is great, cutting calories will have a direct impact on your weight and it will come down. But if someone has a thyroid problem, if someone has adrenal issues, if someone has digestive problems, if someone has any mental health issues, if someone has sleep apnea or insomnia, or they use a CPAP machine or blood sugar, it just won't work. And my problem is people that have more followers tend to have more credibility. But how many Olympic level athletes have they had? How many professional athletes? How long are they in the industry? So for me, not to say that the longer you're in the industry, the better you are. That's not the fact. I know loads of trainers that are doing the job a very long time and that are not that good. But the fact is, most people that are in the industry a long time, they've got results, they've got more experience, and they can help people from a different walk of life. But unfortunately, what popularized on the Instagram, what's popularized on Facebook is generalized, sensationalized information, but it's not specific, it's not powerful, it's not individual to that person, and over the long term, it can possibly cause more damage than good. So yes, I think it's good to maybe follow someone's, diet recommendation or ingredients maybe, or recipes online, but to follow their overall plan without them fully understanding what you follow and what your life is like and what your digestion is like. Recently, I was away in sounds fancy, Saudi Arabia, and I was sitting down doing a consultation with this girl, and she was having huge issues from a digestive point of view. So I said, are you following a nutrition? She says, yes, I'm following a guy from the UK. He has this diet plan for me, and my macros and all are all broken down. So I looked at it, and he had her drinking 3 whey protein shakes a day. Now, this girl had massive issues. She had SIBO, she had dysbiosis, she was farting excessively, she was very conscious about it, her skin was breaking out. She was drinking 3 whey protein shakes a day. I don't even know where to begin with that. But the fact of the matter is, yes, he was hitting the calories. Yes, he was hitting the macros. But he wasn't following up to make sure she was feeling okay. So there's so many different... And I could give you millions of examples with that. And from having the luxury of training as many trainers as I have clients, I have trainers that have hundreds of clients themselves in their own facilities. So when you get feedback on what's working for them, you'll realise that the calorie model works for the majority of people. It works a lot of the time, particularly if you're not taking any PEDs, it will really work effectively for you. However, if you're a little bit older, you've had kids, you've had any sort of metabolic issues, it's not going to be the driving force. Particularly now, I've had people come to see me that are on a very low calorie diet, and they just, if it doesn't work, they just go lower. If it doesn't work, to just go lower for longer or do more cardio. And that just, unfortunately, it's not going to get them to their end results. It's going to cause more metabolic damage, more hormonal dysregulation, and maybe more issues when we rebuild them. Now, what I would like to say on that before people may get their knickers in a twist, we had Dr.Layne Norton, who actually did a very good review of...
Was he the bio lane and he did the debunking of the game changers? It was really good. It was excellent, yeah.
So I'm one of the ambassadors for the International Society of Sports Nutrition. Brilliant. And Layne is a fellow. So he was over in Ireland a couple of years ago, and he popularised himself as if it fits your macros.
Yeah.
And me being not on social media, I asked one of the guys in the gym, Luke, to do some research because he follows him and he sent on all his stuff. And it was very in your face, and he gets a bad time for talking about Pop-Tarts today. If you hadn't got your calories in that day, it'd be okay to have a Pop-Tart. He didn't actually say that, but that's what got popularised. So when he came to Ireland, I said, look, I'd really like to pay you to come to the gym and do a private workshop for myself and all the boys. Not to rip him, not to try to, tear his information apart. And he was very humble. fucking strong guy. He trained in the gym beforehand. Super strong guy. Fella talks the talk and
What
walks
did
the
he
walk.
compete? What did he compete? Was he bodybuilder or was he strength athlete?
Bodybuilder and powerlifter.
Was he?
Which is not
Hard
that
to
common.
do, yeah.
And he's a solid, strong fella. Anyway, so he's in the gym. We're chatting away for the whole day. And the answer to nearly every question I asked him he said, "Owen, it depends on the person." I'm going, well, this is such a contradiction to what you're saying. He said, no, that's what I follow from nearly everybody. But then that's what my starting point is. And then I walk off from there. So let's say, for example, and this happens with every client, you shouldn't give any dietary recommendation to anybody until you currently know what they're consuming. So let's say I work out that you're 90 kilos and I work out the equation of your caloric intake per day and I say that's what you should eat. That is unprofessional, unethical and flawed. I need to find out what you're currently eating, knowing your protein you're consuming, the fat you're consuming, the calories you're consuming, and then work from there. Maybe you're overeating, maybe you're undereating, and if you start following my advice, the body's going to be like, what the hell is this fella doing? So, as he said, it all depends. So as he gets any new client, he does an assessment. He does a dietary assessment. They fill in MyFitnessPal or any of the apps that he recommends for a week or so on their training logs, and then he has a consultation with them online. Wow. That's people don't hear that though. They hear, well, I could have a Pop-Tart if I don't have my cat. But that's you know, so it all depends. And what's popularized online and what's popularized in social media is one thing, but what actually happens in a clinic or online consultations is very different. But the more professional someone is, the more they've been around for longer. I find they've made more mistakes, and they say the expert is someone that's made many mistakes in a small field, and I've made a million mistakes in many fields. So fortunately for me, sometimes I cut out the bullshit. But unfortunately, a lot of young people, and especially young guys and girls, are following dietary habits from people that are misleading them, or it has worked for them, but they haven't had the years of experience or the absence of PEDs in order to get the results they're getting. And to get results from pure nutrition and training alone is hard work. Any natural guy out there lifting in the gym, eating food and going, why am I only growing so slow, or why my body composition not going down so fast? And this fella beside me just walks with the dumbbells and you're getting bigger. It's different for different strokes, you know. But seek advice. If something, if you're a motorbike, one of your fancy motorbikes that you have was making I don't know. But let's say you something goes wrong with your bike.
Yeah.
You know, it's a complicated machine, and maybe you know a lot about bikes. You could have a little tinker, but you probably go and see someone that knows about it. So for some reason, when it comes to health and fitness, people think, sure, I'll do this, I'll try this, I'll take this supplement. And I have guys coming to see me, and we have this hot on the barrel. I'm not slagging them off, but I'm not promoting them either. So I went in and I assessed all their fish oils. So they have fish oil, and the main component of the majority of omega-3 fish oils is what's called EPA and DHA. So in this particular fish oil, it had 110 milligrams of EPA and had 80 grams of DHA. So that fish oil, the average fish oil will have about 1,000 milligrams in it, 1 gram. So all in all, that's 190 milligrams of active EPA and DHA. That's 19% fish oil.
So what else is in it?
So exactly what else is in it. So when they say we can sell it to you for $0.01, no wonder you can. Yeah. And any pharmaceutical grade supplement would be at least 75% plus, i.e. 750 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA, and some are even higher than that. So when people take even supplements, and for some reason clients and athletes see supplements as pills. I took that pill, I didn't feel any better. It's not paracetamol. It's not a Nurofen. You're not going to feel better from taking one multivitamin or 1B complex. It's the things you do daily over time that have impact on the cells. But even when it comes to supplements, people need to be adding them in at the right dosages of a therapeutic amount at the right time and at the right source. But unfortunately, this is stuff that's lost online when they post, take this fish oil. They don't get into the minutiae of it. You need to know the details.
Yeah. I mean, this conversation keeps circling back to the same thing. People hate hearing this answer. It depends. They hate hearing it depends, because that means they're going to have to go and do a little bit of research into themselves, a little bit of and that's not having a go, by the way. That's the human condition.
Yeah.
Someone tells me you're going to have to go and do all these things. You mentioned a motorbike there to fix the motorbike. I'm like, is there not just like, can I not just change the fuel and put it into it or something like that? Is there not, look, your man is doing this, I'll just do that and maybe that'll work. Because if I engage into that process, I know it's going to open up a whole world. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to have to learn a load of different things. But that is the human condition. And bottom line, and this is really, really preachy, but it's your health. What else is there? Like it's that old cliche. If you sort that out, like I said, I noticed that 5% improvement. It changed everything for me. I wanted to chase that then. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to start a podcast. I wanted to talk to you, and that all started from me just making one little change.
Well, you know, one of the things I'd say is, and sometimes I hate this. I myself and Robbie, we always give out about books or seminars we go to, and we're there for 2 days and going, this fella, will you stop talking about yourself and give me some usable information?
Yeah.
Or you read the book and the whole book is about the research and the methods, and I want to take home. So for the people listening, let's give you some real big take homes.
The cheat sheet. Here we go.
The cheat sheet.
Eoin Lacey cheat sheet.
Number one, get your sleep sorted for X's sake, because I can't express this from doing blood sugars, and we use this little sensor called the Freestyle Libre from Aritz. It goes onto the back of the arm, the little needle goes in and it tracks your blood sugar for 14 days. And you use your iPhone, you can see your blood sugar. So we've done this for hundreds of athletes, hundreds of clients, and we see where the blood sugar is. If you're not getting good restorative sleep, your whole metabolic function is altered that day, 100%. So I ask clients all the time, when's the last time you've done a special diet? And they go, I've done loads of diets on. I say, great. When's the last time you did a special training program? I did Zumba, yoga, and Tai Chi and spinning. Brilliant. So you realise that you're open to doing different things. Okay, have you ever gone to a different country, America, New Zealand, Australia? Yeah, loads of times. How did you feel when you got there? I felt shitty for a few days and then I got over jet lag. Well, let's do a sleep protocol. Give yourself 14 days of going to bed at 10 o'clock and getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Just try it for 14 days and see what happens. It will revolutionise your metabolism, your mindset, your focus, your digest. Everything will improve. And people say, well, I don't want to go to bed because I won't sleep. I'll be lying in bed awake. A lot of sleep doctors will say, if you're in bed for any longer than 40 minutes, get up and walk around. Don't do that. Get up and walk around, you're not watching television or doing something else. So what we do is we say to people, I want you to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you go to bed, whatever time you normally go to bed, you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that whole day, you can't go back to bed. And then when you go to bed that night, you go to bed at 11 o'clock. And then gradually when you sleep continuous, we spread it out. It's called a sleep spread. But we have two drives that make us go to sleep. We have one which is called process C, which involves your hormones. And one that's called process S, which is adenosine. The more fatigued you are, the more you're going to have deeper sleep. So if you get people to get up early in the morning and stay awake, they have a big sleep drive to go to bed at night time. The problem nowadays, people are going to bed and they're super tired, but they're wired. So they've got a high fatigue factor, but also a high level of hormones. We want low levels of wake-up hormones and a high sleep drive. So by doing this for 14 days, you reset them. You have a very low hormone to stay awake and a very high sleep drive. And by doing that over 14 days, everything is better. Decision making is better, brain function is better, and because of that glymphatic system, the cleaning of your brain, your decision making, your ability to combat stuff. You know, I don't want to have that breakfast, or I'm going to intermittent fast today, or I'm going to train today. But if you focus on 2 weeks of addressing your sleep, now again, if you go to bed at night and you're not going to sleep, try getting up that early that day and staying awake. Do it over the weekend. Don't do it during working hours. It'll take a few days to get over it. But average people, in 1 week, they feel better. But 14 days, you'll be sleeping like Superman, bulletproof. But everything the next day works better. Then the next trick is the morning routine. If you get a good morning routine, no matter what diet you're going to follow, you eat within 60 minutes upon waking up. You get in excess of what's called 2,000 lux. So the light exposure that gets into your eye in particular, it's measured in lux. If you get in excess of 2,000 lux, it resets the body and gets all those factories inside your cells woken up. So you eat within 60 minutes, you get 20 minutes of light exposure over 2,000 lux. And then my strongest thing, if you could go for a walk in nature, it would be brilliant, or you could exercise. You those key things in the morning, your morning routine and your sleep, no matter what diet, you're not going to say no matter what diet you follow, but whatever dietary intervention you're doing will have much more impact. Very effective, very powerful. And the research out there on supporting a routine and getting higher quality sleep is profound. It's undeniable.
Yeah, what I really like about that approach is you haven't mentioned blue light glasses and biohacks and sleeping on cold pads, and you haven't tried to sell me your latest pair of sleep shoes or whatever it is, hang upside down when you're sleeping. That's just general. I know it's general good habits, I suppose, more than anything else, to get you into that cycle and that routine. And I suppose if you have a condition or something like that that's outside the realm of this, you have a look at that as well. But they're just some small general rules you can start with and try them and see if they work. And a lot of people like that because they don't want to have to buy expensive products. They hate being sold stuff. stuff. They don't want to sign up to your latest
Yeah.
12-step program. They just want something that they can start themselves, that they can take ownership. They want to take ownership of it.
And this is the thing with sleep. I did a sleep talk a couple of years ago, and every time I assessed any sleep medicine doctor, any sleep ranch, any sleep clinic, they tell all the recommendations out there are on nighttime, blue blocking glasses. I get it. I get the blue light. I get how it interferes with melatonin. I get that. But the problem is you're giving someone a biohack to allow them to maintain their current lifestyle. Get off the phone.
Yeah.
Turn off the notifications. Have a screen time. Have a screen allocation. Have a bedtime at a certain time. And the most important thing, and this is the key thing, the most important alarm to set in your phone is your bedtime alarm clock, not your morning alarm clock. So you have that time zone to go to bed, to get yourself ready for the next morning. You review the day that you've done, whether you did all the tasks you're supposed to do, wind yourself down, spend time with your family, kids, have dinner, kiss your kids goodnight, off to bed. There is a lot of stuff like blue blocking glasses and melatonin and inositol and magnesium and all these things you can do, but they're trying to fix a bad day. In order for you to have a good night's sleep, you need a good morning. So once you get your morning routine organised, the whole day will fit into each other. The same way when people go to Australia, they don't stay in bed. They get up and get going. They get out into the light, get out into the activity. Also, cold showers have been shown to be very effective too. And there's other things you can do. But get your nighttime routine sorted, get your morning routine sorted, stick with it every day for 14 days, and I guarantee you that I know you're at 4 out of 5, but the listeners might be 2 out of 5. They'll give them the 3. And then when they're at the 3, they're more open to exercising. There might be more, like if you go for a walk for 20 minutes every morning, every second morning that might turn into maybe doing a bit of run, and every in 2 weeks time that run might turn into a faster sprint, or it might turn into a skipping session or a bodyweight session on the sea, or whatever it is. But once you're getting into that routine, you can change things, but start it now. Get that morning routine. And people say, I haven't got enough time. The first thing to go when people are stressed out is food, gym time, and staying up late. They all get up the same hour in the morning. And in the morning, it's interesting. We have this hormonal cascade. It's a hormonal wave. I like to say to people, remember when you learned to drive the car for the very first time?
Yeah.
The first thing that always happened to me, I was cutting out. I couldn't get that, the clutch and the rev. I was cutting the car out. So what happens is in the morning, we have what's called a cortisol awakening response. The cortisol awakening response is how fast your cortisol, your wake-up hormone in particular, spikes up in the first 60 minutes. Now, for a lot of people, it's very low. So if you're waking up in the morning and you're hitting the snooze button multiple times, I can tell you your cortisol awakening response is flat. You're someone that's a 2 out of 5 or even a 1 out of 5. You're running on fumes. So if you're someone that needs 4 or 5 coffees to get up and get going, your adrenal, your cortisol output, your hormonal cascade is problematic. And the only thing that's going to happen there is you're going to drag your ass during the whole day, reaching for sugary drinks or reaching for snacks, and then it actually will peak up at night time. And you're that person in bed, wired but tired. You're that person that gets home from work and your wife says to you, "Hey, how's your day? Hey, how's your day?" What? So you're talking to me? Sorry. You're so disconnected. Your brain is just, you had a fart brain. Your brain is just so mush because your hormonal cycle and your activity levels are not in tune. So getting your nighttime routine and your morning routine, how it can impact your life, I can't express how powerful it is. And unfortunately, Irish people, for some reason, feel like it's okay. It's okay to feel like shit in the morning.
Grand.
No, I'm a nighttime person. And I say to them, can you see in the dark? What do you mean? Can you see in the dark? No. Then you're not a nocturnal creature. Some people are more prone to be more active later on at daytime, but we're not nocturnal creatures. We're meant to be asleep at night time. So if we're constantly eating and going to bed after 10 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, what are you doing? You're eroding yourself. You're wearing yourself down. And a lot of times people feel like when you go to bed at night time, it's for rest and recovery, but it's brain regeneration. It's remembering the stuff you've done that day. It's cleaning out the cells. It's cleaning those factories I talked about. The number one cause of to slow down anti-aging is better sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're not getting that restoration, recovery, lymphatic system, cell turnover, collagen formation, you're aging yourself faster. So if you want to age yourself faster, have shitty sleep.
Yeah. Look, a load of absolutely unbelievable information there for people as well. Just a caveat for that as well. Like, a lot of people look at their own day and they say, my day's a bit different. I kind of touched on this point before, but life happens. Jobs get in the way. You have kids, emergencies happen. You don't have to be perfect 100% of the time.
Of course.
If you can have a plan, that's what helps me big time. Yeah. Have a plan, and if you can hit parts of that plan every day or every week or whatever it is, that's the starting point, I think. Yeah. You don't have to do exactly, like, go to bed at 10, wake up at 5. If you're a shift worker, maybe consider obviously not doing shift work, but if that's not an option for you, then you have to work around the shift work. Like you apply it to the situation that you're in, as opposed to saying, right, Eoin Lacey's after saying this, I'm going to have to do this now, and that's the only way. Oh wait, I can't because the job's getting in the way. Right, I'll just stop. I don't do any of it. It's about adapting it.
Yeah, and follow the thing, if then. If then, very simple method. Then what we do is derailers. What's going to derail you? If you find out what your derailers are, well, then it's not a shock. It's not a surprise to you. If you know that you always eat crappy food or you buy shitty food when you go grocery shopping when you're hungry, well, then eat before you go. And then Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time. And if you know what can go wrong, you're equipping yourself with the skills. And this is the thing. It's inconvenient to be healthy in Ireland. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. So once you know that, then you're not going to be surprised.
Yeah, super. Oh, and look, I've got 1,000 more things we could talk about, but hopefully you'll come back in the future.
Definitely.
I think there's a lot of information there for people to absorb. First off, as I said at the start, the goal here is to try and help people assimilate that. So I think you've done an excellent job there today, helping me. I learn something every time we talk, which is great. You mentioned that you're a bit of a social media hermit, so we can't find you online.
Yeah.
If someone wants to talk to you, or they want to learn more about you, or find out about this process, what can they do? Where can they go to find you?
Well, we've got quite a lot of information on ISI Health on our Instagram page, and then I do have a website called owenlacey.com, but it's pretty much just my details if people want to come and see me in the clinic. So ISI Health is where we do most of our social media. The lads look after that. We do run regular courses, so for professionals out there looking to upskill themselves into the stuff that we talked about, we have 2 levels. We have an apprenticeship program, which is based over 6 months, and then we've intensive 2-day seminars or intensive 5-day seminars where people come and they sit in the clinic with me and see how I assess clients, whether it be athletes or executives, and see lab testing, which is really good. We really find we get a lot of content across to the people that attend.
Super. And I know you have Coach Robbie here, which is well from the ISI, and Robbie's actually started his own podcast there, the Health Focus podcast, so it's probably another resource for people if they're interested in this kind of thing as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Look, Eoin, thanks very much. I really appreciate you coming in today, man, and I look forward to our next chat, as I'm sure everybody will. So
no problem.
Thanks very much for being here.
You're welcome.
And that's a wrap. Episode 1 in the bank. If you'd like to get in touch with Eoin or the team here at Prymal, or if you have any questions, you can just head over to www.prymal.ie/Eoin Lacey for all the links, show notes and contact details. And if you enjoyed the show and you'd like to hear more stellar content like that, then you can follow us at Prymal Pro, PRYMALPRO, on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to the Prymal Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcast. Thanks a mil for listening, guys, and we'll chat to you soon.